cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Well, look at that. It's Monday, and I guess some stuff happened over the weekend that had to do with Turkey and Russia. And hey, I went on a trip. I went on a little trip this weekend. The whole weekend went by very, very quickly. We went up to Mendocino and a little bit of Fort Bragg, but I have to say,
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I didn't see a whole lot of Fort Bragg. We went there for dinner, and we got there kind of late, so
Mike's Daily Podcast.
it was dark, but I did see a little bit of that brewery. What's it, the North Coast Brewery? And then I saw, oh, hey, I guess that's my jury. Yeah, I guess I didn't write a song beforehand. Usually I write a little song before the show, and today I did not. So
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I'm just kind of hoping that you didn't notice that. Hey, let's look at the podcast picture today.
Mike's
a little ahead of time.
Daily
My lovely lady friend
Podcast.
took a picture in Mendocino of the coast, and this picture is oh so nice. Let's put that picture on MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. This is a, or maybe we should do this house. This house. I think I add too many S's to words, don't you? It's not quite a lisp, but it's getting there. Maybe I should work on my lisp. Look who walked in. It was a fantastic trip. I will say, though, it is a lot of driving. You have to drive for, let's see, it's close to 4 hours. And then towards the end, you got to go through these kind of switchback turns. And you're in the redwoods, though. That's very nice. That's very beautiful. Oh, we're going to do this picture from Mendocino. Excellent. Some people walked in. By the way, the episode today is 1729-1729. I want to thank all the people that called at 336-MM Daily to let me know what they thought about the topic we had on Friday. What was it? Was it Saudi? Was it the climate change deal where we are so not following what we should be doing guidelines-wise that the scientists have laid out?
And here's today's podcast picture.
That, you know what, all those third world countries that are like islands, they're going to be underwater. They won't be able to drink any fresh water because their fresh water will be contaminated by salt water. And it's screwed up. But Basil, he went with us to Mendocino. So nice. And this is episode 1729. Look who walked in.
Hello, my God, it's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. It's so great that you're here, because the gift shop is full of driftwood that you brought back from Mendocino.
Yes, I think I'm not supposed to take the driftwood off the shores of Mendocino, but there was just like one little piece. So you can buy it at the gift shop.
That's right, Mike Matthews. And I've completely put the price way too high, so no one's going to buy it.
Oh, okay. You're going to overcharge.
That's right, Mike Matthews.
Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman! And this is John Deere, the engineer, Mike. Floyd is offended by your topic because he wished you would have taken him to Mendocino. Yeah, I love Mendocino! And I'm offended!
But if you get offended, that's the way the cookie crumbles. No.
I'm sorry. Well, yes, next time maybe I can take you. In the podcast picture, you see a little bit of the shores. It was overcast yesterday. This is from yesterday. And a little bit of the town. And then that church off in the distance. And that, what's that house? The Ford house is over there. And there's a strange thing. And I haven't uploaded my pictures yet. I took a picture of it. That is... I upload stuff to Google Photos, and then I'm able to put it on the podcast picture for you. But there's this strange Freemason created statue on top of one of the buildings in Mendocino. You've got this beautiful coastal town, and it's very laid back, and it feels very Northern Exposure-ish. And then there's this. It looks like it's supposed to be a church steeple, but instead of the spire at the top of the steeple, there is this statue, this woman and man, and the guy's got angel wings on, and then there's a woman. And it looks like she might have a head in her hand. I don't know. It's the strangest thing. And then my lovely lady friend did some research on it yesterday. Said that it was actually some Freemason imagery. Father Time has something to do with their Freemason imagery. Also, there's some kind of I guess it wasn't a head, a human head. It was actually an urn, which makes that so much better, doesn't it? Doesn't this get creepy and freak you out? And then the woman is supposed to be some virgin. I know. What is happening here? Do you know people in the Freemason world? I just know that Amadeus was a Freemason because it mentioned it in that song, Rock Me Amadeus. I will tell you, though, I guess yesterday it came down to, do we have time to go up to Fort Bragg again? Because we went up on Saturday, but we were staying south of Mendocino. So in order to get home, we really needed to start going south. And to go up north 10 miles and then go south, it's tough when you're traveling and you've got a destination that you just can't quite reach. But then you're like, you know, you just have that overwhelming feeling of, we've got to get home, we've got to get going, we've got a schedule to keep. And then later you're thinking, maybe if we would have gone up, we would have had a little... But we really didn't have much time, because it was getting around 3 o'clock. And as it was, heading back to the East Bay from Northern California, no traffic until you hit Petaluma, and then the GPS, the Google Maps, sent us through the town of Petaluma, which I love downtown Petaluma. I love it. So nice. Lisp. It's so wonderful because you've got this waterway that's there, and that waterway connects all the way down to the San Pablo Bay, and thus out to the Golden Gate Bridge underneath and out to the ocean. And it's got these old buildings, yet it's so rural and full of agriculture. And you've got there used to be, I don't know if it's still there, like a seed emporium if you need to buy seeds for your farm, for your raising crops. And there's the wineries there, and I love downtown Petaluma. I have never eaten at a good restaurant, though, in Petaluma, I have to say. I've stayed in Petaluma, and I remember just starving, because the places, I'm like, I don't want to eat there, I would just eat something like just blah, like Habit, that burger place, or I would eat at a taqueria. And I'm like, I can eat at a taqueria down in the East Bay and be happy as a clam. Why am I eating at one up here? So, not the best, but we did eat in Fort Bragg, and this is turning into a travelogue. I don't really care, because I don't really want to talk about Trump pulling us out of some agreement. And, you know, even though
President Putin was extremely strong and powerful.
Now Trump is trying to be strong and powerful. I don't want to go into that now. I don't want strong and powerful stuff. I'll tell you about my trip. I want to tell you about the, what was it called? We ate at a Mayan restaurant with foods and recipes taken from the Yucatan Peninsula. And the beautiful, it was nicely, painted with the bright oranges and greens. And we had this wonderful sangria. We were going to eat at the North Coast Brewing Company, and that restaurant, I took one step in, and it stunk. I hate the smell. This is why I could never be an alcoholic. I hate that bar smell. You walk into a bar, and it's either of vomit, or it's of that awful, like, bad mop water. Just the awful ammonia. Like, it's either the really strong, offensive ammonia, or it's the kind that just, you smell like, somebody's got a mop that's 20 years old in here. It stinks. And then they're trying to cover it up with all the booze and everything. You know what? No. I'm done with that. I'm done with the beer thing. And I work with the guy who's a total beer nut. And he's going to go, hey, did you have, well, you went there. Did you have some Rasputin beer? No, I didn't. You drove all the way up there and didn't have some Rasputin beer? No. I can buy a can of that frickin' anywhere, so frickin' get off my case. God. Beer. The big... I am so... You know what? I love a nice glass of beer. I actually had some local beer, Polite or something. I think it's out of Boonville. I had that on the trip. And that was lovely, and we sat outside. But see, it has to do with everything else going on around it. Like, you have the glass of beer, sure. But, like, if you're just having it and you're hunched up on a bar and you're just, I hate my life, that sucks. You gotta be sitting outside, talking to friends. I enjoy seeing my friend Kevin at 21st Amendment and his wonderful beer there, because we're sitting outside or we're sitting inside and I'm talking to him and we're having a great time. Sometimes I bring the dog, and it's a wonderful time. Basil the boxer. He did very well, by the way. Basil did excellent on this trip. We actually rented a car because I didn't have that much faith in my vehicle. It's got a lot of miles on it. So we rented this car. It was a Prius, snobby, eco, nose in the air. But it was one of the ones, those smaller ones that are hatchback. And we put the seats down, and my dog Basil the boxer had all this room. We had a bed. I put the bed, one of his older beds, I think one of the first beds I ever got him, laid it down in the back. And he just had a blast just laying there. I took a bunch of pictures. I should post a podcast picture of that sometime. He had a great time. Oh, just the happiest. There's something so happy when you see a happy dog. Philosophy is a smile on a dog, to quote the late, great Edie Brickell in The New Bohemians. Not that Edie Brickell's died, but I think The New Bohemians has died. Speaking of Bohemians, so many hippies and Bohemians and young people with their beards and their funky clothes living in the woods. I think I spotted one or two of those on our trip. But it was my first trip to Mendocino, so cut me slack as we go outside a cafe anyway. We're bringing you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster. It was so nice that yesterday then we get up. We did the total app thing. We Airbnb'd it. We stayed at a place. And it had a fireplace. It was not the biggest room, but it had a really high ceiling. It was built out of an old farm. Yeah, I know. This is sounding very Northern California. It was perfect, though. And it was not crazy expensive. And then next door was this breakfast place. And for breakfast, I had a burger with huge slabs of bacon, egg, a hash brown waffle where they took a waffle iron, threw hash browns in it. This amazing cheese. It probably was Gruyere. I don't know. At that point, the cheese is superfluous because you've got so much. There's so much there. The wonderful, what do you call it? The beef, the meat. They're so delicious. I just took a chunk and put it in my mouth. I went, this is one of the best burgers I've ever had. Brioche bun. At that point, you don't really notice the cheese anymore because all those other fats are happening. Oh, it's so good. Then I didn't eat the rest of the day because that just killed me. We ate at like 11. And I went to Mendocino. And Mendocino is just neat. All these little... I'm sorry, Mendocinoans, I did not buy anything in your shops. I did take a lot of pictures and enjoyed your atmosphere and your hotel, that old hotel. I've never been in anywhere with that much glass, that crystallized glass, and they make these glass. What do you call it? It's not stained glass, but it's just this beautiful. I want to say like crystals, glass. I gotta wrap up the show. I don't know that much about glass, but it was beautiful in the hotel there. So you'll see that picture at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Thanks for listening to today's travel ramblings. Don't know when we'll be back there again. Next time, though, I think we would go along the coast instead of cutting through the mountains, because that took quite a while. But and a lot of, although Boonville was cute, although there was a dog that took a liking to Basil and would not leave him alone, and the hippie owners, the young hipster owners that were French, they were, oh, he is not having a problem. He is just licking the dog, having a little fun. It is all right.
I'm French. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent, you silly king?
Nothing to worry about. It was great. Thanks for listening to this show. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. I hope your week is good.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!